All right, so when you start, there's no right or wrong way when we start adding things together to make like a composite mass. So a lot of times if we have like an extension or a piece that's coming out of the roof, we could just model it anywhere from a level and go up with it and then join it in. But the trick is we got to make sure if we do that, we actually add the massing to the existing massing. So if I want to add a chimney to this thing, what I want to do is pick that geometry and then go ahead and say edit in place just to reopen it. So it's basically like, it was a block or something and now it's opened. And then we can go to an elevation. We already have a level drawn. So that is level 4. We can go to level 4. I don't have a floor plan, so I can go back to the elevation, no problem. Sorry, what elevation was that? South, right? Nope. North. So what I can do is, I don't have an a plan of that, but I can just draw real quick some reference planes. So get used to using reference planes to sort of locate things. And if we go to level 4, we'll see those reference planes. Now we don't know how big it is in this direction, but maybe we have a I don't know how I'm activating that, so. Do you pushing anything right now? No? Like, I don't want to toggle reveal hidden elements. Yeah, somehow it freaks out. I gotta start over. Hold on. Cancel that. Alright, so we don't have the elevation. So we don't know how wide this thing is. So you probably want to have a drawing for that, but we don't have one, so let's do that again. So once we have those reference lines, if we go to level 4, we'll assume it's a certain distance, a certain rectangle. So I'll draw a rectangle. I can just reference that, those reference planes. And then I can just make an extrusion. And then I can go to the elevation. Now, okay, I screwed up when I was drawing. It was drawing not on work plane, so let's do an undo. So let's go back to level 4. This is something you have to really be conscious of, that work plane, not face, because if it's on a face, I'll draw it in 3D. Actually, that one is still there, so let's delete that. So now it should be going level. So create form. So we can just wedge that in there, just bury it in. And then what we'll do is join. Because we opened up that geometry, we can say join. Join that with that. And there it is. Yeah, makes it one mass. So just think pink foam, You're doing a massing model, okay? Don't worry about too much detail. It's just a mass. All right? And the reason why we're using these massings is so we can ultimately do some quick studies. So what we're going to do on Tuesday, you guys are going to get a site plan survey, and it's in the city of Chicago. We're going to go over zoning on Tuesday. We're going to do a lot of sort of information. And then you guys are going to look at different possibilities, single family, multifamily, and what's the maximum build out. So in doing that, we want to quickly just mass something. It's, of course, it's probably going to influence the design somewhat, especially city of Chicago, because you have side lots, right? Side setback, you have rear setback, you have front setback. So the buildings are typically, actually Chicago is pretty lenient because you don't even have to build to the extreme, where in most cities, you got everybody lines up, you know? Like if you go to Europe, like in Europe, like that type of density, the roofs line up, you know, everything is Chicago is the city of broken teeth, you know? It's like, yeah, it doesn't look so pretty. That's why Europe looks nice. But why does Europe look so nice? Because it's cohesive, right? The buildings can look a lot different, but there's some type of datum they're all following. We haven't quite figured it out here. So we're going to be looking at that. So one part of it we're going to show you now is how to make some quick area calculations. All right. So what we can do with massing, especially if we pick massing, we can do things that's called mass floors. All right. Now the critical element here is that we have our elevations in the right position. Our level's in the right position. So the level has to be in the right position. And we're really, in this case, just dealing with level 1 and 2. Level 1 representing the mass for the lower level, level 2 representing the mass for the upper level. Okay? And what it's going to do is create some really basic floors that are not even actual floors. They're just massing floors. So as soon as I come here and I pick, let's start with the bottom, I pick this, I get the option to mass floors. I click on mass floors and I select level 1 and hit OK. So what that's done now, it's actually placed like a massed floor, which is basically a reference plane representing a floor. If I pick our other geometry, mass, I hit level 2, hit OK, we have a floor there. We're not counting the outside here because it's not enclosed space. It's not going to be counted in the FAR, right? So if that's whatever, even if it's roof terrace, we're just looking for enclosed interior space. And FAR is measured to outside wall, right? So it'd be nice if it was inside wall, but might have to be if they want buildings to have more insulation and get thicker walls. I mean, in Europe right now, walls are like, yeah, it's all tons of insulation. Yeah, like, and a lot of times they're adding this insulation on the exterior of existing property, and then stuccoing over them. What's that? Well, energy is so expensive. You know, an electric bill here of $300 would probably be like $2,000.
No way.
Yeah.
So they'll put like, what are they doing? Building foam?
Yeah.
On the outside?
Yeah, yeah.
And then once
And they
it's
stuck
done-
with it. Yeah.
Wow.
And gas is really expensive. So a lot of homes have both natural gas and oil. So you can, if the oil prices are cheaper, you fill up your tank, you know. Not everyone, but still a lot. All right. So okay, now that we have this, we can quickly start to get some information. So what we're going to be doing next week is we're going to pause on the case study. The case study is to get the massing, feel comfortable, and we're going to jump. So I'm doing a little bit different. Other times we just go on with the case study to the end, you know, like 4 weeks of case study. And then when it's time to go back to the massing and use, everybody forgot how to do massing. So this time we're going to do sort of case study and then your own project. Case study and then your own project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that way I think it's going to work better. So what we're going to do is actually not even work on your own project because you're going to pick your own site eventually. We're going to use all the same site. So we have a sort of baseline. And again, I have the survey. I'll give it to you guys next week. So what I want you guys to do by next week is sort of just do this. You're not going to turn anything in, but be able to make the floors and then come up with a quick schedule. So what we're going to do is create a quick area schedule. Okay. So if we go to View, Schedule, and Quantities. Right, so I'm going to go to View, and you guys don't just watch. I'm recording this. I'll post them right away. Schedule and Quantities. We have a bunch of different possibilities. We want to go to Mass and Mass Floor. The biggest mistake you guys are going to probably do is probably go straight to floors. We want mass because we're dealing with mass floors. Okay? Different from actual floors. Once we get into actual floors, we can do that. So whatever, mass floor schedule, we can call this whatever we want. That's fine for now. And we're going to hit OK. This allows us now to add the fields. Like, what do we want to have in the schedule? We're going to want to have levels to know which level the area is being calculated. That's probably going to be the one plus the, obviously, floor area. So level and floor area. Okay? That's all we'll need for this. Okay? And then we hit OK. And then you can see here, it's a little hard to see, we get level 1, level 2, we get the square footage for both. So this is quite nice, especially if we're doing a bunch of different options and we're trying like this version versus that version, or I go like sometimes does it make more sense try to get all the area on one, 2 levels. That's only 2 apartments, 2 big apartments versus 3 smaller apartments. You do multifamily, so you start playing, So you don't always build all the way to the out, the perimeter, unless you can build all the way out and go as high as you can. So typically, at some point, if you build all the way out, you typically can't build it all the way up, which is cheaper, less stairs, sometimes less stairs. Period. Especially when we get to egress, we'll look at that. But this is a quick way. So it's not giving us totals yet. So we want to come back and edit this. So our schedules appear here. So again, Project Browser is where everything's going to be. We talked about this like day one. Under schedules and quantities now, we have mass floor schedule. If we click on that, that would open it. If we come anywhere here in the fields, if we hit edit, it's going to take us back to where we sort of set it up. And then we have to start looking at a couple things. What I want to start doing, we'll just go through these. So fields, these are all the possible fields. And again, this is how we can set up for quantities and schedule, like for component, materiality and so forth. We can do stuff with materials. We have filters, so we can filter things, like if we wanted to filter. Sorting, basically we want to sort by level, potentially. We can add things like a header, have them ascending or descending, add a blank line. We'll get into that. But we can also do grand totals. So it tells us how many levels we have, and then potentially what's our total gross square footage. And what we want to do is, under formatting, floor area, we want to click on calculate totals. So we don't have that option on levels, but under floor area we have calculate totals. So it's sorting it anyways. We don't have that much information right now. So if I hit OK, what I'm going to do is sorted it by levels. This is what I did with the sorting. So we get level 1, level 2. This will work if later on if we have maybe rooms and stuff that that we break it up into zones or different apartments. So how big is each apartment? So we might want to have 2 apartments on 1 level. Right now we have grand total of 2 levels, so that's what it's doing there, and then a total square footage. Okay. So the total square footage then, what's great now, if we come to our model and start manipulating our model, these numbers are going to update. So to show you that, if I come to the 3D view, and then I come to this model here, and I push this thing in, what does it have there? Oh, I think it's all, okay. In this case, I can't do that. This has been locked to all the reference lines, so I need to go to the reference line, or the reference plane, and move the reference plane. So after I move the reference plane, that's what happens. So I picked the wrong side. So it gets problematic because reference planes sometimes just take the last part that you extruded. So this is the downfall of locking something. Probably don't lock it to reference planes unless you know it's done. The reason why is actually never lock it to reference planes. It's a good idea. Because what's happening here is I'm locked to that reference plane, but when I move the reference plane, it's just moving the bottom line. The top extrusion line stays. It's not the end of the world. I can fix that. I'll show you guys. So if I take, actually this side I want to take, and I pull this in, and then I go to my 3D view, I can come here and select that line if I edit it. And then also pull it in. The only problem is I would need to know what I pulled it in. Although I think it did snap, and then I can finish it. Okay. Now if I go to my schedule, the number has updated, right? So the square footage was 6,000 something, and it's now smaller. So you get live sort of updates basically on here. Now ultimately, we can make up schedules, like make up like the building mass itself. We have a dimension, width and length. And we don't even have to model anything. We can just change the dimensions in like in a schedule, and it'll update the 3D model. So we can work with these in reverse order. So, I don't want to do that. So yeah, a lot of these. So you get people, and I'm really skeptical of people that design solely. Like through data. I mean, that's like it's an old trend that's come back again now because computers are. No, but like just using raw information to like somehow drive design. Like, we took a survey and 20 people entered through that door, so we should make it bigger. Like, there's people that design that. Like, that's a new trend now, and then the computer figures out. So you use all this data and sort of analysis. In the end, unfortunately, it creates a bunch of mediocrity, because you're basically getting the average. So, and it almost eliminates the architect. I think those things are good for certain things, but yeah. Yeah, it's maybe good to figure out how many registers you need, right? Like, hey, we need more than 5 registers. We actually need 50 registers, because this is the business McDonald's. Then it makes sense, but to like change form or mass, I think it gets questionable. But to like sort of implement customer service stuff, yes, at that scale, at the personal scale, I think it works. Okay, guys? Good? So you're going to do this for next week, all right?